Mayor Frank McClary, a man on a mission, who understood the assignment: town budget, fiscal responsibility, town infrastructure, tackling neglected projects, town independence, making sure its citizens have the final say, town growth, paving the way for future investments. Re-elect Mayor Frank McClary to continue the mission of serving in the best interest of all the people of Andrews. Mayor Frank McClary, a man on a mission, who understood the assignment: town budget, fiscal responsibility, town infrastructure, tackling neglected projects, town independence, making sure its citizens have the final say, town growth, paving the way for future investments. Re-elect Mayor Frank McClary to continue the mission of serving in the best interest of all the people of Andrews.
Leadership is not just knowing what to do, it's assessing the obstacle that's blocking the way of what needs to be done. That's when experience and commitment come in, as you stand firm on your feet while in the trenches to make things better for all. Leadership is repairing the foundation, so the future grows from a solid base. The roadmap is set. There is no time to lose ground. Re-elect Mayor McClary. He's fighting for all of us. Leadership is not just knowing what to do, it's assessing the obstacle that's blocking the way of what needs to be done. That's when experience and commitment come in, as you stand firm on your feet while in the trenches to make things better for all. Leadership is repairing the foundation, so the future grows from a solid base. The roadmap is set. There is no time to lose ground. Re-elect Mayor McClary. He's fighting for all of us. Leadership is not just knowing what to do, it's assessing the obstacle that's blocking the way of what needs to be done. That's when experience and commitment come in, as you stand firm on your feet while in the trenches to make things better for all. Leadership is repairing the foundation, so the future grows from a solid base. The roadmap is set. There is no time to lose ground. Re-elect Mayor McClary. He's fighting.
Son, we live in a world that has walls, and those walls have to be guarded by men with guns. Who's gonna do it? You? You, Lieutenant Weinberg? I have a greater responsibility than you can possibly fathom. You weep for Santiago and you curse the Marines. You have that luxury. You have the luxury of not knowing what...
Y'all better get in here. Y'all better hit that like button. Come on through. Come on through. Come on through. That's what you could do. Hit the like button. Let's go.
I know that Santiago's death, while tragic, probably saved lives. And my existence, while grotesque and incomprehensible to you, saves lives.
Let's go. Get on in here. Y'all hear it warming up now. Come on. It's going to be that kind of show tonight. Let's go.
You don't want the truth because deep down in places you don't talk about at parties.
You know what I'm talking about. Let's get in here, guys. Come on, get in here. Let me check and make sure. Yeah, we rolling. We rolling. Come on, man. Come on in here. Hit that like button. Let's go.
You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall. We use words like honor, code, loyalty. We use these words as the backbone of a life spent defending something. You use them as a punchline.
Let's go. Happy Veterans Day. Shout out to the veterans of Andrews, South Carolina. Let's go. Keep
neither
going.
The time or the inclination to explain myself to a man who rises and sleeps under the blanket of the very freedom that I provide and then questions the manner in which I provide it.
Let's go. Y'all make sure y'all make it to them polls November 7th. That's Tuesday. That is Tuesday. And if you have any issues, look on the screen right now. You see it. You need to ride to the polls. There it is. There's the number that you call. Go ahead and write that down, or hit the screen. Hit the screenshot real fast. Screenshot that right there and go ahead and tuck that away so you'll have that number 411-723. Let's go.
I would rather you just said thank you and went on your way.
Either way, tonight, guys, I got a good show for you. Basically, this is Real Talk Tuesday on Sunday because y'all know what's going down Tuesday. So obviously there won't be a podcast on Tuesday. So we might as well go ahead and get that in here right now. And let me man, let's put some respect on
Colonel. What's that? I'd appreciate if he would address me as Colonel or Sir. I believe I've earned it.
Defense counsel will address the witness as Colonel or Sir.
I don't know what the hell kind of unit you're running here.
Sir, we wanted a good unit here, sir. Welcome to Andrews Podcast. We got none other than Colonel Frank McClary in the building, retired U.S. Army. I thought I'd have a little fun with it tonight, sir. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing well. Appreciate you having me on.
It's all good, man. A lot of, everybody know what's coming up on Tuesday, the big day. Again, let me run this over here on there real fast. You see that? If you need a ride to the polls, text your name and pickup address. You can go ahead and get that ordered up right now. Okay, that's the voting Uber. All right, and that number that you need to text is 843-507-9388. And if you live out of town and you know you got a family member that's going to need a ride, this is where you step in at right now. You go ahead and make that text and set that up. Hey, look here, come pick up my auntie, come pick up my uncle, come pick up my grandma, and everybody we can get in there because it is that important. But here's where we at? Boom! Shout out to the veterans. Had a great salute to you, sir. Veteran yourself, U.S. Army. Okay.
And you United States Navy veterans yourself.
Greatest Navy in the land. Hayes Gray underway, baby.
That's right.
Yes, sir. All right. Yeah, man, that was any thoughts real fast on the program the other day, the parade. I didn't make it to the parade, but I did make it out to the program. And when I get off here, I'm gonna finish putting it together to release tomorrow. So for those of you who did not make it to the program over at on 41 at the American Legion, I'm gonna have it nice and edited up for you guys. You know what I mean? Whatever I can do to help the veterans. But what were your thoughts on that, sir?
Hey, as always, Mr. Thomas Alford and Mr. Greg Bennett from the Andrews Veterans Association and Commander J-Rowe from the American Legion, I think it's Post 69. Those guys do an excellent job putting this parade and the program afterwards together. This particular event this year, they recognized, I think it was Korean War veteran, I believe it was. They had a new monument there, and so it was excellent. We need to improve our participation. We didn't have the turnout that should be there to recognize these veterans for a life of dedicated service to the United States and to our foreign partners, and so that can be improved. They put on a first class event and fed folks afterwards. But my salute to those men and women who served before me and actually cleared the path for many of us to follow. And so there weren't very many colonels back in the day during that time that looked like me. And I know things as those guys went through and fought through those challenges, made it possible for young men like myself to have an opportunity to work hard and get in there and serve. And so it's one unit, one fight. So we're all a part of now that brothers and sisters of arms across all services, to include our Coast Guard. So great event. And hopefully on Saturday, on Veterans Day, I would like, if you have the time, we can do a podcast with some other veterans that have served. That's not local. We'll have some local and some that abroad, I think, to talk about and their experiences, and again give them an opportunity to be heard.
Absolutely, be a great day to start taping that new show I was thinking about. Also, I want to shout out you on the backdrop right there. I see you got that backdrop popping over there. I'm like, hey, this dude is set designer now.
Well, hey, I'm very proud of my service. But again, those things behind you were presented to me, by my troops. There was a couple of things over the time, and I'm very proud of those. And they know that none of this would have been possible for me if it wasn't for those young men and women out there that's sacrificing the hard work and getting it done. So my troops is everything to me.
No doubt. Also on yesterday, big event you were at, I ended up being there, able to capture it, man. Like, and I don't lose sight of the moment. Like when I'm at these places and I'm invited to these, all of a sudden, I'm invited to be at this place. And what I was invited to yesterday was the 53rd anniversary of service by Dr. Herman Gibson Jr. And I was invited down there by this brother right here, Jeremiah, the bodyguard.
That's what he call him, man.
That's what he called him. But man, it was a beautiful thing, man, to see, of course, to document it. Again, that's generations right there.
Yeah, it's 53 years. And he pastored at one point 3 churches.
Yes.
And he built 2 from the ground. And so so I was very, very honored to be a part of that ceremony or that program, again, honoring Dr. Gibson, and just amazing people that were there. And so they took care of the pastor. That's what showing your leaders and giving them their flowers while they're alive. And again, you see how sharp he is. I told him I wanted to exchange jackets, but I don't think I could have pulled it off like him. But a great man, great family, his wife there, Miss Lily. And again, they showed him a lot of love, great food. And we appreciate you coming out because it was last minute. I think the photographer who was scheduled had an accident. And so I know you and I both, as you stated, we were at the veterans program, and appreciate you responding as quickly as you did to capture these photos of Dr. Gibson and his family. So I'm sure they appreciate it. Yeah, there they are. It's a bunch of them now.
Yeah, man. And I'm gonna tell anybody, listen, pick up that phone, pick up that the camera phone, same thing, and start talking to these people, start documenting, because they are, it's 53 years. Come on, man. Do you know the type of knowledge that this man has got inside of him? I mean, like, yeah, this was
1970. You dated back 1970. A young man started to pastor, and you can imagine the challenges back in that time, and working through those all the way up to now. And you just think of the events that have occurred in the United States that's made leadership, regardless of whether you're in the church, any other organization, just made things very, very tough to manage. And he has withstand all of that, and again was able to celebrate his 53rd pastoral anniversary. So again, it was a long day yesterday, but it was well worth it.
No doubt. And one political arena to another, I guess. But I want to shout out one of our very own, Mr. Jamie Graham. He is running for a position that I learned about yesterday. And that is the Baptist Educational and Missionary Convention presidency. Okay. I'm not going to sit there and act like I know a lot about it, but I met a gentleman and his wife yesterday, Dr. Jamie Graham. I didn't, not yesterday at the event, but at the event I met Dr. James L. Hailstock. I like his last name, Hailstock. Mm-hmm. I didn't, very briefly, again, I heard him give his presentation to Dr. Gibson. And so I got to speak with him briefly, but I was able to catch this.
I am the Reverend Dr. James L. Hailstock. I'm running for the president of the Baptist Educational and Missionary Convention of South Carolina. I believe that my diverse leadership experience, my scholarship, and my support of pastors over the years positions me perfectly to lead our convention to the next level. I believe that every round should be higher and higher. We're going to bring women and young men, young pastors to the forefront, people who have traditionally not had the spotlight in the past. But the time is now for the Reverend Dr. James L. Hellstock to take our convention to the next level. So on next year, 2024, on May the 9th, 10 o'clock that Thursday morning, all roads will lead to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where you will join me in celebrating the new president of the Baptist Educational Missionary Convention, the Reverend Dr. James L. Hellstock. God bless you.
Hello to everyone. Let me first say thank you to Welcome to Andrews, the podcast. We are elated that you all are interested in knowing about this candidate, the Dr. Reverend James L. Hellstock, who is running for the South Carolina Baptist Educational and Missionary Convention. He is more than qualified. We want you to look at his platform. You can check him out on Facebook. You'll find him to be ready to lead South Carolina to a higher level. We are tired of being at the bottom of every bad list. And now with the right leadership in place, we are going to make sure that our people will be ready for exactly what God has in store for us. We know that Dr. James L. Hellstock is ready for that calling. God bless you and keep us in your prayers. Thank you.
Yeah, so that took place yesterday. Again, I'm gonna learn more, obviously, about that whole process. But sir, you see my backdrop right there that switched up a little bit. You know what I mean?
Looks familiar.
Looks familiar. So and there was a lot of things. I don't know where you had in mind starting, but I thought this would be a good start point for us. Let's see what we can do here. Boom. No, that looks good back there. You posted the renditions of Super Chick here, and the Facebook went bonkers. There was a lot of accusations thrown, a lot of questions asked, legitimate questions. A friend of mine, Cliff Cox, he was wondering, was this stuff something new? Did you just come up with this? Why did you just release it now, a couple of days before the election?
Well,
and your answer is,
well, I think for those who've been following the town meetings, Facebook posts on the town Facebook posts, and following your podcast, know that this plan, the 75-page plan for the town. Again, I shout out to the Donnelly Foundation for the grant that we received to have this done. This body of work is cost somewhere in the neighborhood, $30,000 to $40,000, and sometimes even more. So this work was done. So we got that money through them. So I want everybody to know that. And again, the Donnelly Foundation is a great organization that provided that. So as you're flashing, I saw some of the comments. I don't read a lot of those things, but this one is important. Again, good question. But this was released. If you go back, I think to the date, so folks can see. This was released back in May. It was.
This was an article in Gab News.
This is an article in Gab News, May 27th, 2023. And then along the way, but before this was released, we had published and invited citizens from the school, the businesses, local. We had about 10 different workshops to get input from the citizens and everyone, again, impacted by any change in the town. Excuse me. And so this has been going on almost a year and been very visible. I know that, we talk transparency, and that's exactly what this was. We were very transparent as we went about this.
I was checking the numbers because I love numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was tracking what folks were saying on Facebook. And how many citizens do you have in Andrews, South Carolina?
Just almost 26. Again, you go with the census numbers, a little over almost 2,600 voting. That's in the voting. But in terms of citizens inside of the the 29510 that's affected by anything we do, we're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of about 11,000 people, and we're looking at the school folks that's busted in from school and all that stuff. So a lot of people are affected by the positive and the negative things that occur here. So we push this out. You see the dates there. That's us there at the Black River
Here,
Preserve.
what is this is from on the Town of Andrews page, and it was viewed over 1,000 times there.
Yes, yes. So it's been out there. I think what happens is that, especially at a time like this, everyone is paying attention now, and so they for whatever reason, I'm not sure why they, this young man wasn't aware of this, but we use multiple platforms, and over a year of talking about this master plan that was in development and release. We went out to the preserve to do the unveiling, if you will, so that people can come and join us. There's kind of unlimited space out there. It's a nice place, and also an opportunity for them to be introduced to the Black River Cypress Preserve. Unfortunately, the numbers weren't what we expected. And again, you see there, that was a part of the advertisement we had out, letting them know that the vision and plan would be presented on that date, and they just didn't show up. So part of this thing is individual responsibility to stay connected to what we have going on, because you can imagine we can't reach out to 3,000 or 11,000 people individually. And we use the resources we have available. And again, the town council meetings are every Thursday at 6 p.m. I mean, every third Thursday of the month at 6 p.m., which we provide updates for this thing. So we have to come out. And as you know, you attended, at least for the last couple of years, many of our council meetings, and the numbers, barely reach 10.
No. According to one of those troll pages, they said I show up to a few meetings, record a little bit, post it, and the same.
Again, I think that's just some folks just not being completely honest. So, and again, all this stuff is recorded, and this particular plan is still online. We haven't taken it down and won't for them to go there. As you said, there's been over 1,700 views of the plan.
I'm sure it was more than 1,700 when it was on Gab. They trust Gab. There it is right there.
Yeah. So Gab
May 27th.
puts it out. And again, this is way back in May. Now, to his question, the other part of his question, why now? And it's not now, but why I decided to post the things I've had recently is because, again, when you have a competitive race in terms of two people bidding for the same seat, they're going to be debate, and as we see, we're going to have debate online.
There wasn't a debate there. That was a missed opportunity there, Dean Baber. I mean, that was an awful missed opportunity there, bro, because instead of debating, he decided to go to West Andrews, where everybody on West Andrews was at the rec waiting for him to debate.
Well, and that's a choice. That's the decision he made, and it gave me an opportunity to speak, and speak a little bit longer and give people the facts. But my point is, these things started to come out because, again, my opposition said he had a plan, disregarding, know very well that there is a plan for the town, not Frank McClary's plan, but this is the plan for the town that is a long-term plan to, again, address all of the different aspects of this town with respect to the revitalization of Main Street, the connectivity to Black River, opportunities for economic growth. All those things are included into this plan.
Okay, you had the plan, so you had the plan since May, or you had the plan as long as you had the plan.
Mm-hmm.
What have you done to make this plan come to? What have you done? Because,
excuse me,
and I'm unpack what I'm saying. What have you done to move this plan forward? So okay, we got the plan. Kind of what are some of the things that you've done in the interim since then?
Well, we talked about that. There is no interim. All right. in the condition that the town is in, or any other town, you have to parallel plan for a lot of different things. You have to take advantage of resources that's available, because this plan is very expensive. It's not going to come out of the town budget. That's not the expectation. So we have to leverage other people's money, if you will. We're talking about the state and anybody else who wants to contribute to it. That's why we create these partnerships with these organizations. And we have these meetings with these big corporations, because when they see that there's a plan and there's an opportunity to provide for, underserved communities, they're all willing to come, but you have to have a plan first. So to your point, as we're building this plan, or the organization, which is Arnett and Muldrow out of Greenville, building this plan, the staff are now seeking resources. And that's how, again, we with Duke Energy, we got, almost $7,000 for streetscape. We got our hospitality funds back from Georgetown, which we've been allowing them to use since 1999. That's all money go to streetscape. We have almost, I think it's 30 some odd $1,000, maybe $39,000 we got from the county as a part of the aid tax we still have in the bank. So all that money that's collected now, we can begin to contract to get some of this thing moving. And the focus will be on Main Street, because that's where the resources is allocated for. So it ain't just now. What's happening is that the timing of the election and everybody now getting interested, you're just coming in when we're ready to execute. We've been planning this and putting things in place, and that's got to understand the process. It's a process. When you don't have $1 billion, if you will, sitting there to fix everything, then it's a process. You got to hit the grant cycles at the right time. You're going to have to, again, as you partner with other organizations that have a history of providing resources for these type of things, then you get in on those things. So it's not right now. Everyone is just listening right now because we're now at the tail end of a campaign, and everybody's paying attention. What's important is that everybody pay attention as we go along. Come to the meetings and you will be informed, because it's impossible to try to address each individual every day on what's going on. That's unrealistic. And that's why we have monthly meetings. That's why we have these other platforms where we can communicate. And just simply pick up the phone or call if it's not coming to you fast. And then, somebody will be able to tell you something, but yeah, this is not a surprise. I think it's a surprise to those who didn't show interest in the town or what we were doing.
I got this in a text message a couple times this week. Apparently, Dean Baber wrote this long post, and in it he said that, and here's how bad it is. I literally just read this post today, and before I even read it, just scamming over it, it's like, all right. And it says here, I'm confused. The mayor was talking last night at his forum that he didn't show up to debate about Dean Baber, about a Dean Baber that doesn't exist. Were you talking about a Dean Baber that does not exist, sir?
I mean, let's be serious. There's only one, and so that's and any comments I made were addressing those inaccurate, false, misleading, and just flat lies about what was really going on and what's not. And I think we've dispelled all of them in terms of when it started out, we were broke, we couldn't write grants, and then so we produced those things. $18 million in grants. We're not broke. We're actually pretty financial at standard with respect to paying our monthly bills and those things. So we're not broke. And see, these things keep coming out, and then I have to address them because it's misleading to the people. And all they do is simply, hey, I should have been the first one you consulted before you decided to get in the race, so I can tell you what right looks like in terms of where we are. And then if you decide to run, that's fine. But he consulted the wrong people who have never been to our meetings, who don't pay attention to what's going on. And then now you find yourself in this position where you make false statements or inaccurate statements, and it doesn't look good, you know. And again, I'm very careful because I'm a God-fearing man. So, you know, I know it says, you know, touch not my anointed. But when you get into a political race like this and you don't make accurate statements, then you set yourself up to be then labeled as such. Okay. I refuse to allow these kinds of things to be said when there's a tremendous amount of work, not just me, staff, everybody's involved in trying to make things better. And then we get stuff like this. And that's just it's unfortunate and unprofessional.
And he goes on to say that, you know, you're running against the imaginary him. And he says the mayor's good friend, Jamal, and he didn't put the S. Richardson started lying and distorting the truth about me at my candidacy, about me and my candidacy from the beginning. And from there started to believe, and they're starting to believe the lies they started. Okay. I'll respond to that. First of all, it's an honor to call you my friend, sir. Anytime, if anybody ever wondered how do men of high repute become men of high repute, is because they associate with men of a whole thing like that. So, sir, I do appreciate you. So I don't know what that was supposed to thing. I don't know what that was supposed to mean. Well, I kind of know what it was supposed to mean, but when he said I started lying, and all I've done, and anybody, I haven't deleted anything. You can go back and I just listened to what he said. What he did is started talking, and ever since he's been talking, I've just revealed that he talks in circles, that he just is a bunch of word salad. There's no substance to what he's saying when it comes to the job that he's running for. Okay. I've also pointed out through his words that he is a puppet. Now, the way I characterize that, he probably wouldn't. I'm sure he wouldn't characterize himself as a puppet. That's not a pleasant term. But it's not without reason why I did that. But let me move on, sir. I mean, anything you want to say about that?
No, the only thing I've responded to, and I refuse to get on Facebook, because as I said to him, you know, let me back up. I've never gone onto his page to call him out, say what he's not capable of doing or what he's capable of doing. I've never done that. It wasn't until I think when I posted the first excerpt from the master plan is when it sparked him pretty much attacking me on my page. And again, I was a man before I became a mayor. And so when I'm challenged, then I will challenge you professionally, like I did. And I told him then, since you're compelled to do that, then we should get on the stage in front of the people and tell them what our plans are. And then that was immediately rejected. And I think another thing, but that is a part of the democratic process. It's not a timeline, and it's not the responsibility of the incumbent or the new person. It's just a debate is a debate. Just come on out and let's discuss it.
That's tradition. So, and listen, if the 5-day thing was a problem, why is he still posting right now?
But it's not 5 days. This was when this challenge, if you want to call it that, was made the day he posted that. So it was
exactly, and it was on like, and as I'm reading this, I'm telling you, because it's been sent to me. I'm gonna show y'all in my inbox numerous times, but I don't, you know what I mean? So he goes on this thing about Bert, and the fact that you got to go back and explain it means that you missed the mark. But here's this thing. So this is why this is annoying, because this is serious stuff, right? Andrews is a serious town. This fictional, he says here, this fictional dean. No. Let's go back up here where he says this part. Okay, yeah, that's it. This fictional Dean Baber character was created in the war room of the McClary campaign. The mayor took 4 years to assess the problem. I think that was a Freudian slip. And this is the problem. He just
and I appreciate the fact that he captured that in my conversation with the people that were there and those that were listening, because it is exactly right. If you have a system like what we have or had here, where there's no history, no maps of the underground, and your budget is jacked up, it's going to and you don't have the resources coming in to just immediately get things straight. Yes, it took 4 years to figure out, not just to figure it out, but to fix those things that were critical to the safety of the town, to ensure that we got safe water to drink and sewer off the ground. Those things were happening. Those were highlighted in the DHEC consent order. So as we assess, we're fixing critical things to go along and trying to figure out where is the money going. Are we still investing in things that we no longer need? You know, how do we get rid of these old lift station that is absorbing a lot of our resources? So yes, it's not, you're not going to come in here and just immediately figure it out. So it took us that time to do that. Then as he pointed out, 4 years to position. You have to first understand what position yourself is. It's just like anything else. So when we got those things taken care of, now we're ready to begin to request more funds to now start to build. When I'm talking about build, I'm talking about now replacing the larger things that are not broken, completely broken yet, begin to replace it. So you're now positioning yourself to receive the businesses that are coming in right now. That's what positioning is. It's like anything else. You set yourself up, and now you are receiving, prepared to invite industry in. That's what's positioning. So when you say positioning, things are happening. So as we have presented on a number of occasions, a part of that positioning period, 4 years, over 25 businesses.
He doesn't understand what positioning is. He doesn't understand how to put out a document, right?
Well, I'm
to misspell the word assess, and he did that aggressively. So that's in his mind. That's how he thinks to spell it, right? And then he goes on down here, right? And he says these things that easily can be taken out of context. So you're a tap dancer now? And enough of the tap dancing, like, that's a culturally insensitive statement, right? So I'm glad I did not read this thing. Well,
this is not the first time he's done that.
I know.
This is but you know, again, I don't let these kind of things trip me up. But again, it means something to you have to be aware of the people you're serving, of all cultures, and be mindful that a word like culture or tap dancing or this one chart that he put it as very colorful and things, and then calling a portion a community the West Side, you have to be, you know. And again, I'm grateful that I went through the military, because they teach you these things, because you're dealing with a diverse organization. You know, I didn't know what I think it's peyote. It's the, I think for the Indian community, that's
absolutely.
And I didn't know when my young troop came to me and says, okay, this is a period of in their culture that they, and the military, the government recognizes that. So we have to allow him to go and practice that as a part of this religion.
I was an Indian for a couple of weeks in the Navy on that POT.
I'm sure you were. I'm sure you were. It was convenient. But my point is that you have to be culturally aware of the organization that you're in charge of and not make these things, especially repeatedly. Again, the whole color thing. And I saw how the young African-American community launched on that. Me as an old school guy, I've seen it and I recognized it and I said, okay, you're missing the mark. But when you continue to do stuff like that, and you're right, in tap dancing to the average
little
person,
soft shoe boss.
yeah, that is not okay. And so you just don't do that. You stay away from those pitfalls as a leader. And me personally, you document it, you go ahead, you put it in and you move on with the mission. But again, not everybody's not me that looks past these things, or not necessarily look past them, but don't let it become a distraction. And so I don't know, you never know what someone's intent is, but when you start putting this out there without someone checking, it's not good. It's not good. It can turn things sideways, and it did. And again, that's not okay.
So, and then he finishes off. He says, "Here's a picture of a key to the city that Mayor McClary presented me because I was creating an environment for all to fellowship as one." Make you think, doesn't it?
Let me help folks understand that. And as a leader, you recognize your subordinates or those who are doing things to help make your organization, or in this case, your town better. I would do it again if he was doing what he was doing at the time. And it's not just him, it's his church. So the credit that it wasn't, his name is on it because he's the leader of that church. There's another church that I presented the key to the city because they were doing the same thing. And again, the idea, as I look at our community, we have over 25 some odd churches, right? And so when our churches come together and work as a unit, and that just makes us better. So it's a part of that was trying to encourage others to come in and help us get this thing straight, because we didn't have the resources, we didn't have the manpower. And so I did that. I also recognized Mr. Langley during the Heritage Festival for, again, representing the town of Andrews as he moved up the ladder, as he competed in the voice competition. The Jerusalem Center, who is doing wonderful. In fact, they'll be up in operation again. So it's not about him. It's the organization and the message I wanted to send to everybody else. Let's join together to make Andrews better. But I see that this is now I guess I'm gonna have to change the locks.
I was just now thinking that. I was like, bro, you getting the key up to the city, and these people, too many people, they want to, what I mean? But no, I thought it was, but I thought it was desperate. I thought it was a desperate move. What else was he going to do at this point? What else does he have to validate what he's done?
Well, again, that's the church. There's a lot of wonderful people in that church, and they were out at one time. I think I went out once with them, and they were more active at doing this some years ago, and it was worth recognizing. That's what we do. And in the military, you see all these ribbons and things on these guys' chests. It's because they're being rewarded, and it encourages other ones to work as hard as this person or this unit, and you'll be rewarded as well.
And my thing is, I was about to say, if that church is if they continue to serve the community like that, get them another key. You even do recognize them. I'm with that. I just have but this is the nature of politics that I don't think folks fully grasp that.
Look, in the 8 years I've been here, I've received almost a dozen community awards. I was named the volunteer of the year for Andrews High School. Again, about a dozen, and you've seen it in one of the reels. But that's not something for me to just come bragging about. It's just that's who I am. I work for the community, and so then again, if that's boosts his popularity. But I would say that, if you've been here 11 years, people should know a little bit more about you than they do.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him out there at any water breaks, any storms, checking on anybody, providing any shelter. I heard maybe he did. I just didn't see it. I heard talked about how he's going to handle the homelessness and drug things and creating a disconnection with these nonprofits. Well, I know there's a church that is heavily involved in the addiction program or recovery. So let's and this is not to throw shade, is that be careful what you're saying if you can't show it.
You ain't done nothing in 8 years.
Right.
What is
You
that?
got to understand what it gets under my skin a little because they don't know the depth of the challenges we had in this town. I was describing to a young man I was talking today. I said, if you wash your car, detail your vehicle, and it looks like a brand new vehicle, but your engine is just shredded, it's not going anywhere. And that's what was happening on the inside. So you don't have an appreciation for that first term on what had to happen before we could even begin to move forward. So we had to get this engine fixed. Then we can start to move forward down the road, and like we are right now. And again, the timing is such that you're now seeing the full plan. But before this plan was published, we were replacing the fleet for the police department. We were replacing the fleet for public works. Didn't have dependable vehicles and our equipment to do repairs. We had a trash truck, again, as I said last time, that was stayed in the shop more than anything else. And there was, at one point, I think in my first year, there was 3 weeks we couldn't get the trash picked up because that truck was just dead. And my friends in Georgetown were very generous, and they allow us to use their truck, but they couldn't do it anymore. So we went out and got us a truck, and it's still taking care of business today. I'd like to have another one, so again we can get back. If we can do that, grow the staff, then we can run two trips a week. You just can't afford to do it right now. So there's a method to the madness. It's that you're not, the people on the outside, just like any organization, you're not going to see the sausage making behind the scene.
And nor do you want to. Well, hold on a second, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Son, we live in a world that has walls, and those walls have to be guarded by men with guns. Who's gonna do it? You,
baby.
You, Lieutenant Weinberg.
Jack.
I have a greater responsibility than you can possibly fathom.
And
I love that.
Colonel. What's that? I'd appreciate if he would address me as Colonel or Sir. I believe I've earned it.
yes, sir, you definitely have, sir. Colonel. All right. Keeping it moving right along. Another thing, and this is the other night at the football game, again, the Jackets came out with a big win, and the young man had a quarterback got tackled and ended up having some complications. And things turned out. You know what I mean? He's he's doing well. But there was no ambulance at the game. I'm going to get into that. But this ambulance situation has been a ongoing thing. This is nothing new. Just the fact that Andrews was the only football game in Georgetown County and there was no ambulance. Again, that's another thing. But something came up also at the forum where there was a petition signed. And can you unpack that a little bit?
Well, as you know, and we've been all over this before, the ambulance is just one of the concerns we have with respect to decisions made at the county council level. Sitting in that press box to see that young man go down as violently as he did, and to learn later that he was actually unconscious. We thought he was exhausted because he played a pretty good game throughout, and we were leading. So again, to see that, and that was my first question. I've been around these things a lot, and And I asked the question, was there an ambulance here? And it turned out it's not. But it goes back to our concerns as we express, and again, over 1,000 signatures on a document that went back to county council that was ignored. It seems like myself, a few others, citizens, I won't call their name, but they know who they are, who travel to Georgetown repeatedly every month.
Most of them, a lot of them elderly.
Elderly, yes. Yeah. Elderly people that were there trying to convince us, speaking, and it fell on deaf ears. So, again, thank God this young man is okay, but if you don't have the trained personnel on site to respond immediately to this thing, and again, I wasn't aware that there was only one game in the county.
That's it. That's all.
So I don't.
Carver's Bay went to Baptist Hill.
Okay. Well, I'm curious as to, how that decision was made, and someone should be held accountable to speak on that to the citizens. If I'm the parents, I'm going to see somebody about that, because it's not. I don't get it, and I don't know what drives the decision of those folks in those positions, but it just doesn't make sense to me. Especially a football game as violent as football is, you got to have some medical folks on hand. That's just, to me, the common sense thing. But again, we sit idle and we don't say anything, and they do what they want to do. They say what they want to say, and then I'm attacked because I'm fighting for those resources for the town. That doesn't make any sense to me. That everybody should be concerned about. Everybody.
Yeah, because the ambulances, and I know they've been, trying to divide this race down racial lines, but I promise you, deaf don't care about race. It gets everybody. Yeah. Equal opportunity is it's an equal opportunity arse. Oh,
yeah.
And so, and this is a political issue, and it's been a political issue,
but it shouldn't be.
But it shouldn't be.
It should be a leadership decision that says this makes sense for the people in the community.
And for those of you who going to vote on Tuesday, think about the fact that this has been going on for quite some time. There's a petition, and Dean Baber's name is not on that petition, period. So where was the concern? You know what I mean? Like,
there's other leaders that for whatever reason didn't sign, and I'll tell you, there was a very diverse group of people that were moving these petitions around. So I know it hit communities that they lived in, and everybody had an opportunity, in my opinion. This was several days of doing this, and as a result, no ambulance in our fire department, all volunteer fire department, their calls have increased, tremendously, where now the majority of their calls a month is dedicated to medical issues. From shortness of breath, baby born in the tub at the in the bathtub at the hotel, all those things is just firefighters on hand. I mean, I remember I think it was 40 some odd calls or 50 or something like that, and only about 17 were fire related. And that's a swag at that, but that's that has been going on since this ambulance was moved out of this town without notice, dating back to December of last year. So it's almost a year now that this ambulance has been gone, and our workload has increased, and they refuse to increase the monies that they send to accommodate or to go towards the fire department. That's been $35,000 for now in probably 30 some odd years.
Is it possible for private ambulance companies to come into the area? Is that an option? Is that
we we began to look at some of those things, but it's going to have to, I don't know all the details. That's work that has to be done. But I know you just can't, roll up and say, I've got a new ambulance. It's got to be nested to the hospital and the other, those kind of things. And so it's got to be an umbrella, if you will, somebody who has oversight of this service, and there's obviously got to be certified people doing that. So you just can't, maybe we can, but then how do you pay for it? I'm not so sure.
That's the thing that I'm getting at, because it sounds great, but then where does the money come from to pay for that? So what about the A tax? That's what somebody may say. They may say the A tax. And what is the A tax? What does that mean?
The accommodation tax is for tourism. When people come in, visitors, and you generate that through your hospitality, through your accommodation fees, right? So those things go to a specific purpose. It's like the hospitality monies go to streetscape. Accommodation taxes go to your things that supports tourism. So, for example, like our Heritage Festival now, before we can get any money out, to support that, we had to advertise out. So it's about bringing people from afar into the county or the town that stays in your hotel, dine in your restaurants and those things. That's what those dollars are for. Then they come back to you. You're gonna have to compete for it.
Who's the agency that controls those dollars?
The county.
Okay.
So I think in September, October of every year, I believe, then you have to submit an application requesting funds to support an event the next year. Mm-hmm. And so we weren't very fortunate when we went the first couple of times to do that. We were denied. And then when the Heritage Festival started to, pick up and more, generating more and more, we really fought to get the 39,000 that we got from them. I spoke about that earlier. Mm-hmm. That 39,000 will go to things on Main Street or the revitalization of Main Street to make it more appealing for tourists and visitors as they come in. So those dollars are again allocated for a specific use. You can't apply that just to anything. Pawleys Island or nonprofit can apply for it as long as it goes to the beautification of the town that kind of supports tourism.
So theoretically, these churches that are now set up, I guess they're set up as nonprofits. They could apply for this A tax.
Yes. If you have an organization that in our case we manage the Heritage Festival, we don't have an organization like I think they had a nonprofit back in the day when it used to be the good old days. Good old days. Mm-hmm. And so that funnels into that nonprofit, and then they can generate donations, those kind of things to support these events. We don't have that. We surprisingly and unfortunately, we don't have a lot of bona fide nonprofits in town. Mm. And if you did, then they can partner with the town, the government, to get other grants. That's the other key to this thing, but we just don't, for whatever reason. I'm not sure if it's folks not aware of the opportunities.
I'm sitting there thinking that'd be some good if somebody has some expertise in nonprofits to put on a workshop. Yeah. Because a lot of people got a lot of good ideas and don't know how to fund them.
We've done that through. We had once had an economic development team.
I know. I was there.
And
I was there.
We taught grant writing. Come on now, we did all these things.
And that's the other part of this thing, is that you can have all the programs you want in the world if people don't show up to attend them. Just like Ms. A. Anderson is doing a lot. She's got, and this is a testament to her persistence, is that she has one student, right? And I know you guys heard me on here. I even did a little commercial and everything about the night school, the free night school. Right. Mm-hmm. And she's got one student. She's proud of that one student, you know what I mean? But it's still discouraging to know that, hey, man, this is here and there is a need for it. And people just don't apply themselves.
Yeah. So yeah, it's there. We provide, and again, I'm repeating what you're saying, but I just want to add a little caveat to it. The services were there. Now, I will say some took advantage of it. You see some businesses popped up. Small, not very well, popular, but some folks did, others didn't. and there were great opportunities, and we'll continue to do that. But we have to participate. We're going to have to meet the resources halfway. You can't. It's not going to come to your house. You got to come to the venue that that we set, and then get the knowledge, get the certification, get those things, and move on. We even had an agreement with Ori Tech for us for classes to be held here in town. Couldn't generate enough folks to take the classes, so it failed. Well, it didn't fail. We just didn't get it going because we didn't have the participation.
And some would say that, well, I didn't hear about it.
Because
how would you respond to that?
Just because you're not listening doesn't mean it's not being said.
Exactly. If a tree falls in the wood, does it make a sound?
Yeah. So it was a lot of effort up front. Because again, I understand. I that's what I did for a living. I build organizations. I redesign organizations. And I understand when I say that to say this: you have to be able to do multiple things at simultaneous to make it work. You can't just do one thing and it'll take you forever. So, with respect to trying to get the town back up and doing, community events, working on the infrastructure, creating, job opportunities, all those things were happening. The workforce development, all that's going on. It's just that people weren't listening. And now, again, you have a competitive race, and you have obviously two sides. People are listening now, and what I encourage you to do is continue to listen beyond 7 November.
Keep that same energy.
We're going to continue to do these things, and we encourage people to get involved. If you go back to sleep, then you're going to be just as lost come the next term.
All right, and some things that this guy was saying that he was saying he was going to do. Let's start here with the strong police department, and he says here, hire retiring law enforcement along with academy graduates. What is that? And now again, he doesn't open himself up for a debate or anything. So what does that mean?
Yeah, I spoke on that before. Again, if the retired law enforcement men and women were coming back into the force, we wouldn't have a shortage. We wouldn't have a 5,000 person shortage across the state. And I'm sure if they're coming back, they're going to go to those same markets that's paying a better salary. So I'm not saying that you wouldn't get a couple back, but that's not going to be the solution to the challenge that we have across the state and the country. It sounds good, but it briefs well, but it's reality of it is not. That's not the solution. Again, it's not going to solve that problem. And if you don't believe me, you can call the director at the South Carolina Criminal Justice Academy, and he'll share that with you.
He says lower crime, community watches.
And if you go on the mill quarters, there's a community watch. I was a part of that when a young man from the sheriff department came in and got the citizens up there, aware and not necessarily certification, but aware, and then your signs up there. So that's happening. It's that we are going to have to, as people, be more respectful to one another's, and property and that kind of thing. It's rough right now. It's rough across the board. And if he can do that, then that's, I think that's if he has that solution, I'm sure he can make a lot of money if he sell that to the country, because it is a problem across.
Well, he says, see it, say it, solve it.
Okay, that's on the citizen, and I don't disagree with that. We just had a double homicide, and no one has stepped forward yet to as an eyewitness. So you can't solve it because you just can't arrest someone based on allegations. I just use that as an example. But to his point, in terms of see it, say something, that is true. I agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
But it ain't the mayor that can make them say something. It's that individual or those folks that are witnesses having the intestinal fortitude to come forward and bring these cases to justice. So again, these kind of things are misleading to the people, as if he can control that, or I can control it, or the president, or the governor. The governor spoke on that when I met him a week ago about now how people are not being brought to trial fast enough, and then they're getting the appropriate sentence. And I was surprised. I heard him say this thing, but I was waiting for a solution. He doesn't have one either.
Well, he says here the war on drugs moving right along. It says police deterrence. I think he said back a while ago, park police cars up strategically around the city. Work with state and federal authorities.
Happening. I mean, SLED was here to assist with the crime scene. They're doing all of the crime scene, evidence, processing and that kind of business. So these things are happening. That, again, it briefs well, but those things are happening. If and I think this is the case with all of this stuff. I haven't seen this chart yet. Pretty interesting. But those are things that are consistent across the country. So of course we all would want those things to go away. One mayor is not going to do that.
And it's a question for law enforcement, and it's just naive to say that.
Well, and revitalize. Okay.
He says, I'm sorry.
Were you down at the revitalize?
Yeah,
town?
revitalized town, which we went through that. He says he's going to paint storefronts.
Well, that was the only, back to the point in terms of twisting what he said. I read verbatim the text message that he and I had, that he misrepresented that text message and said I didn't get in touch with him when I did.
On the west side.
He was supposed to be the one that get back with me. But again, everyone has to be involved. If he hasn't noticed, if you drive down Main Street and through some of the communities, buildings are coming down. Buildings have, I mean, even some with historical value. So what's new? That's not, I mean, you can see that again. Okay. This is frustrating.
All right. He says also, fix the water bills, read meters monthly, repair and replace existing infrastructure.
That's happening. Nobody's sitting around. And again, that's an insult to, I think, those hardworking men and women on the ground. And I know my point is, and I think he highlighted something in that piece you had up earlier about me assuming he's calling me Bert. Hey, you're running against me. You're not running against the public works service. So when you put these things out there, then it's reasonable to assume, he's making fun and taking things lightly, and it's directed towards me, not the public works folks. And you should not be attacking the folks on the ground, because they're putting in a lot of hard work, and it's happening. It is a system that has to be corrected of all parts of it, and that's ongoing. There's funds available for that now, and then once you get contracted, the meter issue, or that portion of the system will be modernized and functioning better and make it easier to read. But it's a process. What he's not speaking on is that the fact that we are providing safe water to our folks, and they have not missed a drop of water since then. And no one has come to me or the department and says, hey, turn my water off until I get a bill. Not only that, you continue to get water. When we bill you, it's not for the full, because again, we take responsibility because it's a system issue. And we can do that because we're in good financial status. Now we won't continue to do that because we got to hold you accountable for all the water. In addition to that, we went out to another organization, and they came in and provide funds for many of our folks that are struggling financially to help them pay that. So we've gone every measure to make sure that it has the least impact. Now, some folks didn't understand, and we spent some time explaining this $411 is over a 6-month period. And if you do the average, you'll see that you're paying less than 50% of the water that you use on an average base. So again, misleading. Now I know he doesn't understand.
Nor does he get a water bill.
Say again?
Nor does he get a water bill, to answer Miss Bernitha Moore's question.
Well, one thing I'll say, and it's all honesty, I have not, and I will not go look for his name on the water bill. Those who service and do those things know. I know that I get a water bill. I know that I'm a property owner. I pay taxes. I can't speak for him, and I won't go digging for that kind of information. But he knows. So if he want to speak to that as he continue to post these things, then he can speak to that. But I refuse to do that because again, I want people to know exactly what we're doing.
He refused to debate. So I mean, this is what he wants to debate on, put these long things on Facebook. So here we go.
That my staff and this administration has done is all documented. Everything he has on that little nice chart there is happening.
All right. A growth-friendly budget. I think pursue grants, alternate revenue streams.
Yeah, I see that's changed from supplementary to alternate. Yeah, and he should pursue grants. I mean, we've been very successful in getting 18 million. So of course, and you're going to have to do that because you're not going to ever have enough money through your regular routine revenue generator, which is water and sewer and tax, those kind of things, and tax base. I mean, for us, we haven't raised taxes but once, and that's back in 17. So we look for every opportunity to keep the pressure, the financial pressure off of the citizen. Now,
why is that important? Why do you? I've heard you say that a couple of times. You said that in regards to the water, that you were able to not have to raise the water rates all at once. You've been able to do it. Why is that important to you?
Because
what is the significance of that?
Well, the significance is that it lets you know that we're financially sound to be able to absorb some of those things and not place that burden back on the people. It's not a burden because you are getting the water. But when we are in a position financially to now absorb some of that again until we fix the system, because the system belongs to the town, not just 8 years ago. This system has been failing. It's been out here since '84, and not just the system itself. A part of the system is the people. You have a revolving door, and that's not something you come in immediately and figure out where 1,600 meters are. And then all of the individual things that could be wrong with each of those meters has to be fixed, has to be assessed and replaced. All those things has to happen. He makes it sound like it's just, that's not how it is. And again, that's where people need to understand. He's talking about things he has zero idea about. You've never come out to look at a meter. You never come out to see how it works. You just sit back at a computer and make these comments that this doesn't add up. And I hope people understand that. I've been on the ground for 8 years. I had to learn. I didn't come in here with it. I had to learn, but I spent the time doing that. And if you don't have that commitment, as he said, he's not going to be in that office. If he gets, for $500, it ain't about the money. It's about doing the work as a public servant until the mission is complete. And I think I've proven that over 38 years of public service.
All right. He says here, make streets driver friendly, fix the potholes properly, improve existing signage.
And we talked about that. The signage is a part of we're responsible for signage, not the DOT. So that's a part of the whole streetscape. The key to it is that we have to teach our kids not, for whatever reason, that's a part of, they just pull them down, turn the signs. That's not something we can control, but we need to, through all venues, and school, home, that's not safe to do that, to take the signs off. Because again, when the ambulance shows up, you need to know what street is on going to, provide the service. So I don't think we are talking to our young men and women who are out there doing that, or whomever it is, to educate them on that. And as I said before, I'll take the good and the bad. Yes, we struggled a little bit to figure out, not to figure out, but the work we were doing, great work fixing the hole. But again, for some reason, they weren't packing it properly. We had to get another machine, and they'll go back out and fix it. But not all potholes is the town's responsibility. So let's make sure we hold the South Carolina Department of Transportation accountable for the roads and ditches and drains that they're responsible for. And you can do that through submitting those work orders online. That's where we need the help from the citizens. It shouldn't be something that we continue to throw at each other and make, and just make it look like Andrews is the worst place in the world. I disagree with them. I see this as a jewel here. So I don't disagree with that. Yeah, it's got to happen, and that will happen.
All right, and then the finish town hall. He's going to finish town hall. We've talked about that back and forth.
Well, that gets into, and I saw your headline. That's a pretty catchy headline there that you had coming in here about why he's running. This to make a statement like that about finishing the town hall as if he has, we have control of the purse. We don't. If we did, we wouldn't have to, file a lawsuit for the ones who are actually holding the money to release it. Okay, so then
Mayor Frank McClary.
It leads me to believe that this was a part of this whole. Again, his words. He was encouraged by Raymond Newton to run. Okay, and he said some local leaders. That decision obviously was made late coming up to the filing period. So. My question would be, is that something they promised you that you will be able to, they're going to release the money once I'm gone? Because again, the building, the fact that I've discovered the fact that they've lowered our value, the town's property value. So if you wanted to we needed to get a loan, you couldn't qualify for anything, that probably will make a difference. The fact that, it's their responsibility for this building that they collapsed over here, that nobody's held them accountable for. It's their responsibility for this ambulance. So when I address these things, it makes them uncomfortable. Those two representatives, Raymond Newton, Everett, Carolina, that sits on the county, those are the guys should be representing us at that level. And when they don't, these are things that we are entitled to. I didn't ask him to supplement or whatever that new word he's using now, our budget. We're doing very well with what we make to maintain our stuff. It's these things that they have responsibility for, that they can make a difference if they represented the town like they're supposed to. So as it turns out, I'm the only one coming to these folks and said, hey, we need you to do this because this is your responsibility. Then I become the bad guy. So they go get this guy. Hey, we need McClary out of there. He's making too much noise. And now here's the kicker. Last county council meeting, they announced that they want to now go for another 1 cent sales tax referendum.
It's two. It's the 1 cent and then it's the loss.
Yeah. So they need the entire county to support that, because that has to be on the next ballot, which is general election next year. Mm-hmm. So if I'm here and you haven't satisfied the requirements that you're obligated to do for this building, I'm sure they're thinking ahead saying, okay, McClary's going to be a problem. Let's get Dean Baber to run against him to get out of here. They should have come again. So then if that's the case, then that tells me that the same people, the people who are encouraging him to come and run, that's not doing anything for Andrews, he's going to be the same way. And then I've never heard anything. Is he here for 4 years, 8 years if he's in here? There's no commitment. There's none. So if you've been here 11 years and no one know you, or you haven't been to any of these tragic situations that happen, what's your purpose? And again, it's so if you're targeting me, you're targeting the wrong guy. You need to target the problem, because as long as I'm here, I am going to hold myself and everybody that has a part in making Andrews the best it can be. I'm holding you accountable. I'm going to do my part, but they're going to have to do theirs too. You see, that's the bottom line. And the thing is, this young man, I mean, again, we were, as you see it, I gave him, and I think it was justified, recognizing this church for the work they did give. So we didn't have any issues. I constantly got text messages, hey brother, how you doing? Hey, Pastor, I appreciate you checking on me. He said, I'm praying for you.
So, and all that time, he never said to you, hey,
Never, not
you ain't
once.
doing that.
I have the text messages right now. That's how I know. That's when I went back when he said that I wasn't communicating with him regarding painting the buildings. That was false, misleading. I said the same text message that, when he explained it, hey, look, I used you as a reference. You didn't ask me. I guess that's a relationship we had. You didn't ask me to use me. You said, and I was fine with that. Use me as a reference. But if you're going to use a man or anyone as a reference, that means that he's in good standing. He's someone that is reputable. That when these people call and say, "Hey, what do you think about this guy?" Then I would say, "Hey, he's a good pastor. He's doing well, helping us out in the community." And I would have said that because that's the relationship we have. So then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I'm not doing a good job.
Tap dancing.
8 years. Come on now, where's the truth in this? And where were you going? Where were you? So you weren't even planning to be here to even be the mayor or a community anything at this point. If you're using me as a reference, let's think about that. That's the thing we need to think about. Who's committed? So don't do these things. Don't go back to your text messages and pull those things out to talk to your, his people, his followers about, what McClary is not and not doing. Let's be honest, because I will go back to the receipts. I don't think that's good business, but I didn't start this. But if we're going to be honest about what's said and not said, let's be completely honest. And to say that nothing has been done, that's what we need to think about. So if you're not being honest about these kind of things, what else are you lying about? What else are you being, misleading about?
You said something about targeting, and apparently, one of these troll accounts associated, and I say associated with because they didn't come around until Dean Baber came around, and this one Sam something, and it went at Councilman Altman, and guys, please make sure you when you're looking at that ballot and you're looking for the county councilman, the town councilman. There's only 3 names, in my opinion, you should remember, and that's Flagler for county for town council. That's Poinsett, and that's Altman. And Mr. Altman, he was called a snake, and I noticed this pastor was the first one to like that, and it was a screenshot of him shaking your hand. He came to the mayor's forum, and that made him a snake. And again, one of these prominent pastors is liking that. I thought that was pretty low. So
see, I don't know what's going on in our church lead. I mean, not all. Don't get me wrong. We have some
definitely not all.
But there's certainly those who have taken these political positions.
The ones who just come in.
Not only that, you got business owners that's coming out and getting involved in politics. You still have to run a business.
I saw them.
You still have to run a business, whether I'm here or someone else, and people are seeing this.
Yeah.
Why would you even get involved with this political thing when you're a business owner or church members and things of that nature, man? It's because politics can get really, really ugly if you allow it to.
Yep.
And so you see it. I mean, they want to bash you. But again, if you look at some of the other folks that are defending him and the things they're saying, I said you hold each individual accountable for what he or she says.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, bro. Like,
you don't get to roll me into what somebody else say or no. But I'm just going to give it to you, straight and have the facts to back it up when I make statements. And I believe in looking a man or a woman in his or her eye and having a conversation, whether it's 5 days or 5 hours before. Let's that's what we should do.
Especially if I feel like you lying on me. Like that would have been, you know what I mean? I wouldn't have tried to sneak in the hood. Everybody was at the debate. And then you met the boys. The boys wasn't too nice. They kept hitting me like, "Hey man, what's good with this dude right here, man?" Man, listen.
You can't wait till the last minute to show interest in
Us.
in anything.
Us on that west side.
You know, I mean, if I'm valuable at election time, I should be of importance and value to you every day. You shouldn't say things that's offensive to me or my community or your culture. None of that is okay for leaders. Okay, so I encourage people to really look at what's going on, because the intent and goodwill is not there. It's now you find himself in the middle of this, at the end of it now, because we had less than 48 hours, and you can't back out. But he's just as unprepared now. It's not expected. You're pastor and doing a wonderful job, I believe, at the church. That's where your focus should be, and do what you're supposed to do. Like any other leaders, come together and let's make the community better. But again, it's his prerogative to get in the race. But again, let's do things for the right reason.
Well, I guess since we can't,
he put it out there, so it's not my words, as he said, it's his words when he put these things out here and say these things that are offensive to other people. You can't blame me for that. It's recorded. It's written.
Just like this one is.
I'm 53 years old. I've been pastoring, senior pastor now for 30 plus years. I've been a part of meetings and conferences and business. And so I have some insight about leadership. So, but we just wanted to take some time to just generally, briefly introduce who I am.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
A fact in that. And it just went on from there. That was one of the first things he said that was just flaw. And I mean, and it's not so much that what he was saying was flaw. It was just from there, I needed to hear more. And it was the whole time is I've been a pastor for 30 years. I've been to some meetings, I've been to some conferences, and then he'd tell us a little story about I heard somebody saying a meeting, and then he's come with these sayings like as if people aren't traveled or well-traveled or well-read for that matter. And so you just start throwing things out there, and somebody that listens to all kinds of stuff, you know what I mean, movies, all kinds of stuff like that, you really start to add it up what he's saying, and it's just it's this
For me, but I'm here at the Georgetown voter registrations and elections building, and after much prayer and counsel with local and county leadership, and also more important,
your confidence just scares me. I mean, it's just you're exuding confidence. You really want to do this thing that you're, and I mean,
well, and again, I don't know what one man the next man can and cannot do. What I do know is that this town is very vulnerable in terms of being set back to a place that would really probably challenge our ability to maintain our charter. So we don't have time. So he may in 8-10 years, if he's committed to it, he might be able to get some things accomplished. I'm not challenging that. But what I'm saying to the people right now is that this is not the time to test the waters and changing leadership. This is this institutional knowledge sitting right here, and I am committed to making this thing move forward. We are there. As I talked before, we assessed out. We had assessment period. Now we're positioned now to receive those things that in terms of the ability to generate some economic growth and move this town forward. So that, again, it's obvious that it would be difficult for anyone to come in and just pick it up and run with it. And it's not the time. And then again, if you're not, I have not been convinced that the commitment is there. But I do know what the challenges are, and we need to stay the course. Bottom line, Bert needs to stay on board.
Yep. If you need a ride to the polls, text your name and your pickup address to 843-507-9388 in Andrews, South Carolina, 11/7/2023. That is this Tuesday. Again, if you are out of town and you have a family member who you think may need a ride, please take advantage of this service provided by some citizens. Need a ride to the polls? Text your name and and pickup address to 843-507-9388, Andrews, South Carolina. I would also, if I were you and you needed this service, I would probably text a time also that you would like to be picked up, so that you can coordinate that and you don't get caught in the rush, and you will already be on the schedule. And that way you can get to where you need to be so you can exercise your right to vote.
And I'm going to say this, and again, I don't read all of these things but I see things. We all individually and collectively need to be very careful that we destroy the fabric of this town, and that's the people. So we need to ease back, just take a deep breath, man, and not, because we're going to have it's some healing. It's like the pastor preached today. What is the mission of the church? That's to teach, preach, and heal. We're right now in this period where we need healing, and we need people to come together. So allow this campaign and this thing to move forward without us destroying our each other personally. This it definitely should not be about race, and it shouldn't be about pastor, any sympathy for those kind of things. Is this who is capable and ready and with the experience to move this? And my resume clearly tells you that.
And
my resume and my work.
It's important that we move past this political process, because coming right down the pipe is going to be a very, very contentious presidential race, and that's gonna really have some dividing qualities to it.
Yeah,
so
local level.
Yeah, and that's where that's kind of one of the reasons why I started to focus on the local levels. I love national politics, but it is way out there right now. And so us in these small towns, we're gonna have to look past these, we're gonna have to realize that what's happening for us is happening on a local level, and we can't be divided by the local politics as well as the national politics to come.
Yeah, we have to do better. I mean, again, let them fight up that level. Here we're going to have to come together starting now, and respect each other and love your neighbors. That's just the bottom line. It's amazing some of the things that are said out there, but I refuse to give it energy. And I'm just going to focus on doing the business of this town and taking care of the people and moving this town forward. I mean, we have great relationship with corporate America now. We have people who are calling me. I got a call today from the company out of Columbia that was a part of the sales for White's trailer place down there, talking about coming back in and helping the current business, store owners and those guys figure out if they want to improve these things or sell it. And that's really what it's about. So we're set. We're net. We're connected to these industry. Let things continue to move forward and get our personal feelings out of the way, and let's be a better town.
And I'll say this, that I've been around watching this thing past 8 years, past 11 years, and anybody, you could Google this if you want, but in the last 8 years, Andrews has not been in the newspaper for tax problems, just embarrassing issues. That has not happened, and that used to be the. I mean, I remember emergency meetings that they had in the in town hall that'd be packed. You know what I mean? And it's just, more embarrassment. Just and so for somebody that was there for all of that, to listen to these people now say, "Oh, you didn't do nothing in 8 years," is just a ball face.
Yeah, and how do you know? Because you haven't been to any meetings. That's one thing. Not one. Well, one. And that's since he. And come on now, let's be.
They really need to. They really need to. And this is to South Carolina legislative, somebody, I don't know, United States, somebody need to really think about the fact. Think about not the fact, but think about implementing something that requires. I think these people should have been required to take at least some kind of course or something to, if you're coming into politics and that.
Well, during the first interview, it's like I didn't have any experience. That's not true. I had 30 years of federal government experience that deals with these type issues down here and greater. And so when you're talking about acquisition, contracting, and how those things are sensitive in management, more than a decade, almost 2 decades of dealing with contracts and those kind of business. If all the contracts we've let since I've been here, you would have seen something wrong with it. And no one has come back and stopped any projects or say, they may have said, there was one case, I think, as a part of this building where some local guy says, "Oh, well, we didn't do it fairly." Well, when you check the process, all the processes there. And they had to go on about their business because there was no favoritism thing. You can't show favoritism when it's contracting. And you can't give the contract, as some suggested at the local level, to someone who is local. No, you can't do that. That's a violation. That would get you in a lot of hot water. You have to have competitive bidding and not give any one of these contractors an edge. That's the way it's supposed to work. That's the way it has to work. And all those things, there's checks and balances in it to ensure that. But when you get too friendly with and doing things because your friends encourage you to do it, like running for this race, you'll find yourself in some hot water because now you don't understand. You're not going to follow the guidelines. And we will be in financial problem. We will be in court for those kind of things if you don't do that. So this is not about friendship. This is about business. Andrews, running a town, any town is a business, and you have to take care of business properly. That's the way it is. I have plenty of friends and all that. I get along. I build relationships with business relationships, and those who are working against Andrews, we're not going to be okay. I'm not going to be okay with you. And if you're not working with us, if you're working against us, then I don't have a whole lot of time for you. And I think that's where they're now misunderstanding this thing about I don't get along. That's not true. I got plenty. I can call a whole bunch of folks, which we have. And that's why we're moving forward, because we are connected with people who of like mind and professional. That's where we are. And we'll continue that work. When we win this thing here Tuesday night, we'll continue the mission. Right now, it's necessary. It's a distraction because we got a lot of work to be done, but we'll get through it, and we'll continue to move the town of Andrews forward.
No doubt, man. Let's see. Is there anything else that I wanted to address that he brought up? We went over that list.
And I don't, and again, personally, I'd rather have this conversation, but I'm drawn into a debate about things said and not being able to look my opponent in the eye and address these things, and look the people in the eye and address them. So here we are. And again, I appreciate the platform, but this is not new. So this is what I'm left with. So I'll address those things. And I'm sure tomorrow they'll come out with a whole bunch of things that I'm misquoting, and I'll present the facts again. I'm not going to let you walk away lying or misleading the people. It's not going to happen.
On social media, I'm gonna tell y'all this, the people of Andrews, the fact that this man's sitting here taking the time and including me, I'm not the problem with Andrews, and so you should be focused on the issues that you think that are wrong with Andrews and figuring out if that's exactly it. But I get it, you know what I mean? You were thrown into a situation, and here you are. So,
Hey, spiritual led, man. This is my purpose, and I'm going to continue to serve it until God want me to go somewhere else and do something else. But I've always served the people. That's what I do, and so I prefer to be here at this level because these are people who took care of me. This is the town that is that I was born and raised in, and I want to see it get back to one that is thriving, that people want to come to. That's my total commitment. Bottom line. So this is not to do it for someone else. This is for the people of this town, and I hope you appreciate that.
All right, guys, you see it right there. Thursday. Oh, I'm actually
you're going backwards.
Yeah, I'm going backwards. My busy. I thought I had it posted up there too. Like, yeah. All right, there we go, right there. Y'all see it right there. Re-elect Mayor Frank McClary, Town of Andrews, purpose and people, not politics. All right. And if you or a family member needs a ride to the poll on Tuesday, go ahead and text right now that number on the screen. Okay? Need a ride to the polls? Text your name and pickup address to 843-507-9388. And again, that is this Tuesday. Guys, if your family members are, you're out of town, reach out to your family members. Make sure they get to the polls and vote. It's good for us to do all this talking, but y'all got to go out there and make this thing happen. Put this thing to rest so we can continue with the work that needs to be done to make our beloved city what we want it to be. Any parting words, sir? I'm going to give you the screen, give you the stage here, remove myself, and there.
No, I just want to say again to the citizens, a lot has taken place here since August is filing for this, for re-election. Just want you to know that I've always been and will continue to be committed to making things better. Do we get it all right up front or moving as fast as some would want? Probably not. But it's a process, and we're well on our way. And so again, I'll say to you, there's no time to go back. We're in a vulnerable state where we're doing well, but it doesn't take much to fall back into it's just bad. You have the luxury of not knowing what I know in terms of what this where we were, but that's behind us. Let's move forward. Vote Frank McClary on the 7th, and so we continue the mission of town, getting this town better and growing our town. Okay. If there's any questions, we'll be prepared to answer those things, and but hopefully we've covered those. So I'll see you on Tuesday. So appreciate it. God bless this town and all of our citizens. Appreciate it, sir. Thanks for the airtime, and hopefully we've addressed the legitimate questions out there.
Responsibility that you can possibly fathom.
Yes, sir. All right, there he is, and what's going on with my eyes there? But all right, sir, I will talk to you later. You have a good evening.
All right.
There it is, y'all.
Colonel Jessup, did you order the code red? You
don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
And the truth is, we got to have Mayor Frank McClary back another 4 years in Andrews to continue the mission, to continue the job. Again, I thank you guys for checking in. On your way out, if you haven't, please hit that like button. That's something that you can really do to help along the broadcast. And shout out to those who donated tonight. Bought some stars. That's always greatly appreciated, and it does help. Again, you can help the broadcast out, not necessarily by sending money, but by hitting that like button so that we can bring more people and get this message out farther and farther and farther and farther. And I'm trying to give a bunch of words here until I find what I need to find. And guess what?
Mayor Frank McClary, a man on a mission, who understood the assignment: town budget, fiscal responsibility, town infrastructure, tackling neglected projects, town independence, making sure its citizens have the final say, town growth, paving the way for future investments. Re-elect Mayor Frank McClary to continue the mission of serving in the best interest of all the people of Andrews.
Leadership is not just knowing what to do, it's assessing the obstacle that's blocking the way of what needs to be done. That's when experience and commitment come in, as you stand firm on your feet while in the trenches to make things better for all. Leadership is repairing the foundation, so the future grows from a solid base. The roadmap is set. There is no time to lose ground. Re-elect Mayor McClary